Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jannavalabha Giribharadhari Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamunatira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Chila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Karantara Shiman Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Shishi Guru and Shigoranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Summon Bonan, Chapter 66, Pondraka, the false Vasudev, text 32 through 34. Tatoknir utitha kundam murtiman atibhishana tap tap tanrasikasmarsru andarogarilochana tatoknir utitha kundam murtiman atibhishana tap tap tanrasikasmarsru Angarod Gaриlochana Tatoknir Utita Kundam Murtiman Atibhishana Taptatam Rashikashmashu Angarod Gaриlochana. Please chant. Tataha, then Agnihi, the fire, Utitaha, rose up, Kundat, from the sacrificial altar, pit, Murti, Mam, assuming a personal form, Ati, extremely, Bishanaha, fearsome, Tapta, molten, Tamra, like copper, Sikha, the tuft of hair on whose head, Amashruhu, and whose beard, Angara, hot cinders, Udgari, emitting, Lochanaha, whose eyes. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thereupon the fire rose up of the altar pit, assuming the form of an extremely fearsome, naked person. The fiery creature's beard and toss of hair were like molten copper, and his eyes emitted blazing hot cinders. His face looked most frightful, and its fangs and terrible arch and furrowed brow. As he licked the corners of his mouth with his tongue, the demon shook his flaming trident. Text 34. Patbyam tala pramanabhyam kampajan avani talam sobya babat prito bhutair dwara kampradaham disha. Translation. On legs as tall as palm trees, the monster raced towards Dwarka in the company of ghostly spirits, shaking the ground and burning the world in all directions. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurube Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Utale Srimate Romapada Swami Niti Namine. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatyade Shatarine Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. So, it's not the first time that we hear of the powerful Lord Shiva creating these powerful also uh, entities, fiery entities that are described that they were so powerful that it appears that is the end of the world, the annihilation, the time of annihilation of the cosmic manifestation. Lord Shiva is known as Nataraj. It's a famous depiction of the deity of Lord Shiva in which he is dancing, standing on one leg and encircled by these flames of disillusion, cosmic disillusion, like that. So, Lord Shiva is understood as the deity in the cosmic manifestation or the personality who is in charge of annihilating the cosmic creation. It is explained that Lord Brahma builds or creates, and Lord Shiva annihilates. And in between, Lord Vishnu is the maintainer. Although it is explained that Lord Vishnu is the source of both, of all those three aspects: creation, maintenance, and annihilation. Um, Vyasadeva opens the Srimad Bhagavatam by recognizing that. He recognized Krishna as the ultimate source of these three um, acts. He says, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Jammadhyasi Jatombaya, Jammadhyasi. So he is the source of the creation, the maintenance, and annihilation of the whole cosmic manifestation. So although the Lord is the source, then that particular aspect of the whole of the cosmic manifestation is being given to these specific personalities, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. So when we talk about the annihilation, um, the element of fire is very prominent. So, and very much associated to Lord Shiva, this element of fire. Um, like we see also Lord Indra on the partial destruction of the creation that happens in at the end of every day of Lord Brahma, there is a partial destruction. And during that partial destruction, there is this inundation. So there is this uh, rains that completely inundate and destroy the whole universe. There's only few places that are not being covered by these waters. And one of them is Navadvip, Vrindavan. There are certain places that are not covered, but the rest is completely covered. And then we see that Lord Indra plays a part by calling these clouds, these rain clouds of destruction, disillusion. That's what you say? Yeah, yeah. So we know we're going to celebrate on Monday Govardhan Puja, and we hear about the the pastime in which Lord Indra calls for all these different clouds that are meant to appear during the time of the partial dissolution, and then he directs them to destroy Vrindavan. Now, one wonderful thing of these powerful personalities and the, the, the particular energies or the particular tools that are in their hands for their service, these tools are also personalities. They manifest a personality. They're actually conscious. Their conscious is not, their weapons for achieving their task. You know, you have a demolition company. and you're tasked to knock down a building to build a new one. So you have machinery and you have all kinds of tools for that. So, you have that, the, how you say, the wrecking ball, that's big ball, that you swing and knock down buildings with that. And you have explosions and things like that, dynamite, and so all these tools, they're, for these personalities, they're not inanimate tools. They're fully conscious tools. So when Indra sends this cloud, the cloud is a personality, and his name is Samvartaka. And the cloud comes, Indra summons Samvartaka, and Samvartaka also have different associates that are under him, that are also clouds. And so he comes and personally address Lord Indra and say, what should I do? Please give instruction. And they execute whatever instruction is given. So it's a very fully conscious. So it's very targeted. Lord Indra told Samvartaka, you go and destroy Vrindavan. Only Vrindavan. So these weapons or these tools, they're fully conscious and therefore they're very specific when they perform their actions, which is something very wonderful. So Lord Shiva, it is described, when it comes to time of the annihilation of the world, of the whole cosmic manifestation, it goes into flames. So these personalities, when Lord Shiva creates these demons or these personal manifestation of these fires that are to destroy everything, they are conscious entities. And they're very fearsome and extremely powerful. So there's, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a narration of at least several instances in which Lord Shiva summoned these powerful beings. And not necessarily the same one, they're described as different, but they're all fiery. And they're all so gigantic and powerful that are ready to annihilate everything that comes into their way. But the wonderful thing, again, when they appear, they're specifically a target. So one of the instances happens during a sacrifice that was organized by Daksha, who happened to be the father-in-law of Lord Shiva. Daksha's daughter was Sati. Sati was the wife of Lord Shiva. The marriage was arranged by Lord Brahma, or requested by Lord Brahma, who is the father of both Lord Shiva and Daksha. And Daksha particularly was not only inimical but also envious towards Lord Shiva. Because Lord Shiva was, um, by his qualities, was given so much respect in the whole universe. And also Daksha had that respect, but he considered Lord Shiva lower than himself. So he was envious. And the instance happens that his enviousness got very much triggered in one situation when Lord Shiva is seated, surrounded by so many sages and munis and personalities. They all accepting and praising and worshiping Lord Shiva. And when Daksha, who is the Prajapati, and he was a presiding personality in the universe, came into the assembly, everybody showed respect but Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva was very much absorbed in meditation. And Daksha took offense, and since then he became extremely animical and very offensive towards Lord Shiva. So he was very unhappy that his daughter was married to Lord Shiva. And anyway, he organized this great event that all the personalities of the universe were to come. Great, great sacrifice. And he invited the whole universe, but his own daughter and Lord Shiva. Sati um, thought she still wanted to go, although they didn't receive an invitation. And her rationale was, it's her family. So obviously, it should be fine. It's his father and all his sisters and family members will be there. And they all want to see her. And, and so she asked Lord Shiva that if she can go, although Lord Shiva was not invited. And then Lord Shiva said, better not to go. Because if you go, Lord Shiva understanding that your father is very offensive towards myself. And if you go, you'll be exposed to that and you won't be able to tolerate that. So it's gonna be very, very disturbing for you. And you're going to sort of encourage your father to commit very, very, serious offenses towards Lord Shiva. So he advised her not to go, but she was so attached to the idea of being with her family and seeing everybody that she couldn't stop herself. And in spite of the advice of Lord Shiva, she went. Lord Shiva um, didn't stop her. And when she went into, then indeed, just as Lord Shiva told her, Daksha started to insult in front of her Lord Shiva, saying that he was this disgusting living entity who is surrounded by gods and he's unclean, etc., etc., etc. He went really into a whole tirade against Lord Shiva in front of everybody, in front of Sati. And for Sati, that was so difficult and so terrible that she just couldn't tolerate it. And because of that, she decided she just she can have a body that is related to his father. So for her, the only solution is to destroy that body. So she burns into flames and uh, destroyed the body. When Lord Shiva heard that, then he became extremely angry, and then he took a torch of some hairs out of his head and slammed it into the floor, and this huge fiery personality appeared. His name was Birabhadra. And I'm going to read the description of Birabhadra that is described. So you see, these fiery demons that are created by Lord Shiva are very consistent in their power and their appearance, and yes, and their capacity of completely annihilating the whole uh, creation. Lord Shiva, being extremely angry, pressed his lips with his teeth and immediately snatched from his head a strand of hair which blazed like electricity or fire. He stood up at once, laughing like a madman, and dashed the hair to the ground. A fearful black demon, as high as the sky and as bright as the three suns combined, was thereby created. His teeth, very fearful, and the hairs of his head like burning fire. He had thousands of arms equipped with various weapons and with garlands with the heads of men. The gigantic demon asked with folded hands, "What should I do, my lord?" And Lord Shiva, who is known as Bhutanath, directly ordered, "Because you are born from my body, you are the chief of all my associates. Therefore, kill Daksha and his soldiers at the sacrifice." His name was Birabhadra. So he went to that sacrifice, destroyed the whole associates of Daksha, grabbed Daksha by the neck, and cut his head. And then we know afterwards that through the prayers of the demigods, because Daksha had a very important position in the universe, so they prayed to Lord Shiva to help. Now you left the whole universe without, this important administrator. So do something. So he said, okay, he will give it a head. So he gave him a head of a goat. So, and Daksha was able to, with his goat head, now fully understanding the glories of Lord Shiva, so he submitted and surrendered to Lord Shiva. The another occasion that is in the narrations of the Bhagavatam, we just read about it when Lord Krishna was fighting with Bhamasura, few chapters, ago. And we know that battle, Bhamasura was this powerful demon, and um, he was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, and through his service to Lord Shiva specifically, he performed the service of with 1,000 arms. He would play these musical instruments and play music for Lord Shiva to dance. And Lord Shiva, being very pleased, he asked a benediction. And one of the benediction that this demon is that Lord Shiva becomes the protector of his kingdom. So when Lord Krishna came to take care of that demon, then Lord Shiva was obliged to fight against Lord Krishna. And as the fights happened, then when Lord Shiva saw that Krishna has annihilated not only the whole army of Baumasura, but also defeated completely the army of Lord Shiva, who was headed by his son Kartikeya, then Lord Shiva had to summon his ultimate weapon, whose name is Shiva Jwara. Remember that? So Shiva Jwara was this also fiery personality demon. Here's a description of the Shiva Jwara. After Lord Shiva's followers has been driven away, the Shiva Jwara, who has 3 heads and 3 feet, pressed forward to attack Lord Krishna. As the Shiva Jwara approached, he seemed to burn everything in the 10 directions. Srila Vaishnava Chakravarti Thakur quotes this verse that describes this Shiva Jwara. Jwaras tripadas tri shira shat bhujo navalochanam bhashma praharano raudra kalatanka jamopama. The terrible Shiva Jwara has 3 legs, 3 heads, boom, 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 6 arms, 9 eyes. So I have 3 eyes per head, I'm assuming, no? So tum, tum, like that. 6 arms and 9 eyes. Showering ashes, he resembled Yamaraj at the time of universal annihilation. So the element of fire is consistent in all these big servants of Lord Shiva that are meant to destroy. And of course, we're hearing now of this big demon that comes out of a fire that was directed by Lord Shiva when he was asked to give a boon of the means to destroy Lord Krishna. We also hear the narration of an expansion of Lord Shiva, a direct expansion of Lord Shiva, whose name is Durvasha Muni. To remember the pastime of Durvasha Muni and Ambarish Maharaj, right? Similar, Durvasha Muni took offense because out of some enmity or enviousness towards King Ambarish. So Durvasha Muni took offense, and without understanding King Ambarish's position, he similarly took a piece of hair and threw it in the floor and cursed Ambaraj Maharaj to die on the hands of this huge fiery demon. So here is a description of that demon too, all very similar. So this is how start with the description of Durvasa getting angry. You remember the pastime. He gets angry with this simple action that Maharaj Ambarish so thoughtfully and so careful, he thought of how to not only at the same time of serving, is be able to do the right thing that accommodates everything. So he wanted to honor Durvasa Muni. And at the same time, he wanted to honor the sacrifice that he has undergo for the purpose of serving his kingdom, the community, his citizens. He wanted to do everything right, and he got the right decision after consulting with the brahmanas of the kingdom, brahmanas and sages. So he did the right thing. But Durvasa, out of overcome with envy and anger, then he became very angry and did the following. Suddenly, with his face flushed and fiercely twisted, Durvasa uprooted a tuft of hair from his head and created a demon resembling the blazing fire of devastation. That frightful creature carried a trident in his hand and shook the surface of the earth with his footsteps, very similar to this one that was created to destroy Krishna. And now he was coming before the king to kill him. But Ambarish remained supremely placid, 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 and did not move even slightly. He was totally unafraid of death, for he was simply absorbed in thinking of Krishna in the core of his heart. The king didn't even consider asking the Lord for protection. But Lord Krishna well knows how to protect his devotees. Immediately he sent his personal weapon, the Sudarshan disc, and rescued the king. So that's what we're going to hear is happen here too. The same type of demon, the same type of fearful personality intend to destroy the target that is given to him with a trident, beard, the brow, like sometimes you see in Japanese depiction of these demons. They have this brow, like arch in a very fearsome way, beard and hair, like fire, and the color of copper, so meaning this red, burning red, and the eyes blazing so bright that are from the eyes, it's like when you see fire throwing, pieces of fire like that, same thing. And with the trident, shaking the trident like that. So Krishna sends the Sudarshan chakra, and we will hear how this demon is being taken care of. In the case of Ambarish Maharaj, the Sudarshan chakra destroyed the demon. In this case, when Sudarshan chakra came to be, or same thing, we're going to hear how Sudarshan chakra is a personality too. He have a form. And he's standing next to the Lord, Krishna. And the description is that Krishna was completely nonchalant about the whole thing. Here's this huge demon, the description of this demon. We've read it, is coming towards Dwarka. Everything as he approached Dwarka is getting covered by fire and being destroyed. The devotees in Dwarka, they see this huge demon approaching and they become very afraid. And they go to Krishna, please protect us. Well, Krishna at that time, he was entertaining himself. He was playing dice. And then he goes, it's like, I don't want to be disturbed by this little thing that is happening. Unimportant. So, Sudarshan, please go and take care. I'm going to continue playing. So Sudarshan went towards the demon, and although this demon is described that is as the power is the power of the power that he has is the power of the devastation, the annihilation of the cosmic. When he was in front of the Sudarshan chakra, the fire demon felt the heat so intense. Imagine, the heat of the Sudarshan chakra was so intense that even overpowered this fire demon. That it was so intense that he should have to flee. So he just turned back and went back to Kashi. And then we see how he's going to burn the whole city of Kashi, including the prince, Sudakshina, and all the priests that were helping him. So it's quite wonderful. This um, when we when we get to listen to the Vedic literature, that everything is in a much more higher, subtle level, in which these powerful weapons or means that these great personalities have to execute these incredible tasks that they have to do of cosmic, levels in a cosmic reality like that. That the the level of the subtle energy in which there is consciousness in so many levels, including all these different weapons, they're all conscious. They all have a particular understanding, and therefore they're very exact. So we hear of the Brahmastra weapon, of the Brahmastra, that is an atomic weapon, but is directed, is target. So the personality who delivers this weapon then have to tell the weapon what the target is. And only the target becomes destroyed. So there's no such a thing as Nagasaki's and total population cities destroyed. So I stop here. Any comments or questions? Yes, good.
Thank you for your nice class. So I was just wondering, in this episode of Sati and um Shiva, that it was also actually in other texts it's mentioned that it was already preordained by Lord Vishnu that Sati would immolate her body. It was just a reason needed. So my ultimate question is, many times it's the divine will which shapes our destiny, over which we have no control. So, should we try to fight the will of God or try to preserve our interests to our best capacity?
Well, it's not the assumption that it's the Lord's interest is not correct. It may not. It's actually our interest, not the Lord's interest. So our function is to synchronize with the will of the Lord for our own interest. That is called Swartagatin Hibishnu. That Swarta, what is the greatest benefit that we have is to be in synchronicity with the will of the Lord. So whatever the will of the Lord is for us, then we happily accept. And that's that's a level of pure devotion. So it's our own artha, it's our own benefit to do like that. And as far as the Lord, He doesn't require any of our endeavors or things like that. He does accept it lovingly, but He's self-sufficient. So for our own purpose, or for our own benefit, then we do synchronize with the will of the Lord. Any other question from someone else?
Um, that particular description of, because you had described or read the description of the various fiery entities that Lord Shiva, or were serving Lord Shiva, and their personified forms. So that particular description of was it the Sudarshan having a heat that surpassed the heat of Lord Shiva's weapon? Was that the Shiva Jwara at that time? I think maybe it was in that description. It seems so unusual to think that one would rationally think that fire feeds fire. One wouldn't think that uh, there's heat greater than fire and that it overcomes fire. So it's unusual thinking about different kind of heat that can override the heat of fire or a fiery entity. So I was trying to understand that a little better.
Yeah, with the Shiva Jwara, he was counteracted by the Vishnu Jwara, which was cold. So that one was different. But in this case, with the Sudarshan chakra, this is described later. We're going to hear that in the following verses. It says, that Sudarshan, that this weapon of Lord Mukunda blazed forth like millions of suns. His effulgence blazed like the fire of universal annihilation, so similar to the other one. And with his heat, he painted the sky, all the directions, heaven and earth, and also the fiery demon. So, he's a person, he's an entity. So he also feels some heat. So, I mean, you may be very hot and, you may be very able, but again, the supreme power, because Sudarshan is an expansion of the Supreme Lord. So it's non different than the Supreme Lord. It's an expansion. It's like Vasudev or like that. So we have with Lord Jagannath the Sudarshan chakra, and when we offer to Sudarshan chakra, we address him as um, like a Vishnu form. So that supreme power, when it comes to heat, you're not a match. So you feeling the heat, So the demon, the fire demon, was feeling the heat. So it was too much. It actually was too much. So the guy just said, he just turned back and went the other way, like that. Yeah, so it's quite something. We're going to hear more about it, but I think, okay, here's what Sanatana Goswami say on that. After getting the order, the chakra afflicted the fire demon because it was a weapon of the Lord who gives joy to his devotees, such as Shiva. So Lord Shiva was like, great, his own weapon was being beaten. Thus, it is shown as more powerful than just capable of burning the fire demon. It blazed like millions of suns. Though the chakra was sharp and hot, it was seen as pleasant to look by the devotees. Sudarshan. That's what Sudarshan means. It's a pleasant darshan. With his extraordinary heat, the chakra burned even heaven and earth. So it's wonderful. Any other question, ladies? Yes.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the class. Um, I have a question, but I apologize for not very smart question. So you said that Krishna is the source of Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma. Um, so so we also, as a part of Krishna, so we belong to Jiva Tattva, right, as human beings. So what is Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu, relative to Krishna, to what, as for example, we are Jiva Tattva, belong to Jiva Tattva. So what is Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu relative to
Yes.
Krishna? I think.
So uh, Lord Vishnu is Vishnu Tattva. So is of the same qualities of uh, Lord Krishna. And Lord Shiva is Shiva Tattva, which is in between. It has the qualities of Lord Vishnu, plus that it comes into contact with material energy. And Lord Brahma is a Jiva Tattva. Now, it's explained that Lord Krishna has 64 qualities. Lord Vishnu, or Jiva, or Vishnu Tattvas, expansions of Lord Krishna, have 60 qualities. Lord Shiva has 55, and the Jivas, in their topmost, which is Lord Brahma, is the highest of all the Jivas, have 50. I can't remember, I have to look at little research quickly to what are the qualities, the difference between, and I remember the 4 qualities of Lord Krishna that only Lord Krishna has. Actually, only Krishna and Balaram, which is there is inconceivable beauty, the loving associates, the flute, and the childhood pastimes. And between Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, I can't remember, exactly, but I'm thinking maybe between the Jivas and Lord Shiva, one of them is omniscient, it's in the nectar of devotion. So I can check and then send it to you. The list of qualities that are there. But yes, so Lord Brahma is a Jiva Tattva. Lord Shiva is compared. So say if you have Lord Vishnu Tattva is like milk. Lord Shiva will be like yogurt, which still milk product, but is different than milk, because yogurt is when you have milk combined with an acidic element that curbs it, that transforms it. So Lord Shiva has the qualities, is like having, the it's like being milk when it's in contact with something else. So Lord Shiva is like Lord Vishnu, but in contact with material energy. So Lord Shiva is the one who becomes the husband of material energy, Parvati, and through them is that the living entities gets injected into the material womb, or it's called pradham, which is the womb of the material nature. So another description of Lord Shiva is sometimes is described as the glance of Lord Mahavishnu. So the description is in the Srimad Bhagavatam that there is Lord Mahavishnu lying in the Kosha ocean, and then he glances as material nature, and through his glance he impregnates material nature with the living entities. That glance is called Sadachiva. And the glance itself is not different than Lord Vishnu, it's a form of Lord Vishnu. But in the moment that unifies with material nature, and then so there is the copulation, and so Lord Shiva is worshipped as a Shiva Lingam, which is the male, potency, and Parvati is the lingam, or the female, like that. So that deity of Lord Shiva is the form of that union, a sexual union, which impregnates the living entities into the material world. So, that deity of Lord Shiva that comes into contact with material nature is the is a Shiva Tattva within this material world. So, as much as I can say, it goes really technical, which is a little over my head. This is what I can.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's clear now.
All right. Thank you so much. Karantara Shriman Bhagavatam ki jai.